This is bizarre how quickly they're cleaning it up. Like yesterday I showed you how the ground was black here and the weeds were still left. Anyway, what I'm going to start showing you right here is that this piece of molding is split black on this side, unburned on that side, all the way up, just like the rest of the foam pole, and it covers a wire. And that wire is the dividing line between burned and unburned, and it stops right about there. The burn on the left stops right about there. You see this pole? It's got the exact same burn. Burn on the left, unburn on the right, but you don't see a wire going up the middle here. But you do see the same burn on the left, unburn on the right. Okay, now let's ask a logical question. If this burned this hot, here's the other thing, it's weird, like right here, it starts to burn on both sides. The lighting's not very good. But starting right here, you can see that it actually burned all the way around. But up here, how can that be unburned and this be so highly burned and they be so close together? Because it wasn't fire, it was electricity. That's the answer. So I'm not going to try and dumb this down to the lowest common denominator of understanding of what's going on here. The burn on the left stops right here, 3/4 of the way up the pole, about the same height as this pole right there. But that's what I was mainly coming to show you. Here's the wire that goes clear down to the ground. And I assume that's grounding wire. I'm not exactly sure. But that's what is covering. And right here you can see the burn. The burn took out the left half of this piece that right here, it starts to, there's still wood left there. Just barely though, I can kind of knock it out. But as you can see, just like the pole, it's burned on one side, unburned on the other. Fire doesn't do that. That's electricity. That's being electrocuted. And I propose that it's coming from the ground up. So anything below here, it's actually burned out the left side, but from here on up, you can see that this little tiny piece of molding that's covering that wire, that copper wire, the molding burned on one side and not the other, and so did the telephone pole, right at where that wire splits it. All the way up. Perfect line. So I'm hoping we can agree just from this alone that it wasn't fire. It was electricity. And this other pole has the same effect on it. And I'm not sure exactly why this one runs up the same line right there. But there's no wire. But a lot of these things are very anomalous. Like the square post that I showed you yesterday, there was a square post right here. 2 of the sides were burnt and the other 2 sides were unburned. And I think that's why they're working so quickly to clear out the obvious evidence here that this wasn't a fire. Just like in Paradise, California, they cleared all the trees on both sides of the road for about 100 feet on both sides of the road. Because if people would have come back to their house, this truck over here is UDK, the orange logo on the side of the truck is Utah Disaster Cleanup. There it is. Utah Disaster Cleanup. So they're working fast to get rid of the evidence, so I'm glad I came yesterday because there was a square post right here burned perfectly on 2 sides and a perfect line going up each corner. That's gone. This grass right here, even on the park strip right here they call it, was just like over here where the ground was black beneath the unburnt weeds. But since they've come and they've cut down all of his grass all the way around his house, prior to yesterday there was no grass cut. Things like this make it obvious to me. To other people, they might say, well, the fire just burned half of the pine cone. That's not, I don't mean nothing. And it just burned half of that pine cone. That don't mean nothing. Actually, it does. But that's the thing, they've gotten rid of half of the evidence already that shows how anomalous this fire was. This wasn't a fire. This was definitely electricity. So these unburned leaves that are like tinder waiting to go up, they go clear down to the ground. And the ground over here was just as black as the ground over there, but it's since been covered with the dirt of the weed eaters that cut everything down. So I'm going to go through here and look for some more signs, but I think yesterday I did a pretty good coverage. And they've already gotten rid of half of it, but what I can show you right here, this one burned so far that 3/4 of the branch is burned out. And right there it stops. This is how it comes up through the roots and why. This one right here, you can see how black this circle is with the unburned around it. Because it's coming up through the roots, this one. And on each knot, where there's a branch protruding, the energy is centered. So on this one, it burned it all the way down, and this one, it burned it almost all the way down. These were long branches, I assume, just like this one. And the thing is, it burnt it on one side, and it has the unburned here. That's another one of the signatures that I started by showing you over there, which I'll go to now. Oh, over there. This unburned strip on that post right there, where the rest of the post is so burnt it's turned into the checkerboard charred, is just like this unburned spot right here on a piece that burnt so hot that it's 3/4 gone. This is what I'm calling the checkerboard charred, where it starts to break up in lines, vertical and horizontal. So, once you've got an eye for this stuff, and you've seen so many of them, it's obvious to me this was not just fire, but I'm going to try and make it a little obvious to others. And here comes the homeowner, I think.